Meet the man behind the secret movie, the star, the legend, Joe Vitale. He mastered the law of attraction. He went from homeless to multimillionaire, creating an amazing life for himself and successes that are just mind-blowing, such as writing over 90 books, having done over 15 music CDs, having appeared on 20 movies like The Secret. This guy, he knows how it works, and we talk about in this interview what you can do to make the law of attraction work, manifest your dreams, and common blockages and limiting beliefs that people have that stand in your way to actually manifesting the life you truly deserve and desire. Welcome everyone. We have Joe Vitale on this YouTube video or like interview, and I'm super excited. Like Joe Vitale is the legend. He is the star behind, or like one of the stars in The Secret movie. As many know, he wrote over 90 books, which is just like mind-blowing thinking about it. Over 15 music CDs, and I think also over 20 movies, right?
Yes. Yeah, including my own movie coming out now.
That's incredible. And it's like you're a huge inspiration. And I actually saw on Instagram, I was scrolling and I saw that you turned 71 and signed up to an MMA class as well, on top of all of this. This is just incredible. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just enjoying life.
awesome. So thank you for being here, Joe. First of all, I wanna just ask you, like, everything that you've accomplished is it's literally like a representation of living your dream, right? Not just dreaming about it, but actually doing it. And now even now it seems like for you it doesn't stop here, right? You just go further and further. So I want to ask you, like, where do you get this energy and this drive from?
It's from my passion. I find what interests me. I find what inspires me. I find what I'm curious about, and I pursue it. And I've simply done that since I was a little kid. And all I can tell you is it's following my passion. I'm still doing it today. Yes, I turned 71 years old. And yes, I went and signed up for a mixed martial arts class. And most of the people in there are far younger than me.
Mm.
Some of them decades younger than me. But I'm going to classes and I'm enjoying it. And why am I doing it? Because I'm personally excited about it. I'm personally passionate about it. So I simply follow my passion with every book, with every music, with every movie, with everything I've ever done.
hmm I love that. I love that. And there is also around this topic, there are some people that talk about do what you love and the money will follow, right? But some people kind of struggle with that, and other people actually say this is not true. You have to kind of, if you want to make money, you need to focus on it, and you have to, you know, like do something that kind of makes sense. I believe it's a balance,
Yeah,
but how do you stand to that? Because I believe if you're passionate, you want to actually do these things. So what is your thought on
right.
that?
That's a beautiful question. Do what you love and the money will follow is only true if you have beliefs that accept money.
Mm,
Most of us do not. Most of us think money's bad. We think it's evil. We think it corrupts. We think it's not good for us. We think it'll taint us in some way, shape, or form. So we may do what we love, but the money's not going to follow because we won't allow it.
mm,
This is really important to understand. I've written lots of books about money. Money Loves Speed, Attract Money Now, The Awakened Millionaire, and probably some others I don't remember. And the whole point is you have to be in alignment with your internal beliefs before you can allow money to come in. Because if you have negative or limiting beliefs around money, or you have negative or limiting beliefs around you receiving good in your life, then you will unconsciously block it. You
mm,
can go and do what you love, and I encourage people do what you love. But if you've not cleaned up the beliefs around money, then you will not have money follow. Or if it does somehow get to you, you'll get rid of it. You'll
mm.
find some way to get it out of your life quick, and you won't know you're doing it unconsciously or because of unconscious beliefs. So do what you love, and the money will follow is true as long as you are okay with money and receiving good.
I love that. So yeah, it's almost like if people do what they love, but they have these limiting beliefs, yeah, they block themselves and they probably
Yes.
sabotage their success, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And they won't know it. They won't know it until there's a moment like they maybe with this interview. Maybe somebody will watch it and it'll click that,
hmm
oh, I better look at my unconscious beliefs. But
hmm
for most people, they'll say, oh, I pursued painting or I tried to be an author or I opened my own business and nothing worked out. And they'll blame it on the economy, or they'll blame it on other people, or they'll blame it on something that happened in the world, or they'll blame it on their parents and they'll say, my parents did this to me. They won't know that they are directly responsible for what's going on, but the direct responsibility is subconscious and unconscious. It's not on the conscious level.
And so let's say for also the viewers, because I have a lot of people that they already know about the law of attraction, they watch lots of videos, so they should already be aware of some limiting beliefs, but somehow they still cannot get there. Like they're still blocked, they're still feeling like something is missing, something is not working. Do you believe it's
Yeah.
also it is because is it because of their limiting beliefs? Or what do you think is missing for these people that watch all their content and know so much mind knowledge, but still cannot move
Mhm.
forward?
Well, they're only learning on the conscious level, and they're only working on the conscious level. And the conscious is the weakest element in creating.
Mhm.
You have to go deeper. You have to go into what I call the subconscious slash unconscious mind. I use both terms interchangeably, but it's lower than the conscious. Consciously, you can sit there and say, I read all the books. I read Dr. Joe Vitale's books. I saw the movie 30 times. I know all about intentions and affirmations and vision boards. Great. That's only on the conscious mind.
Mhm.
What are you thinking and believing subconsciously? And if anybody is struggling right now with money, with health, or relationships, with some sort of, especially a reoccurring issue, then it is a sign that there is a belief, one or more, in the subconscious mind that needs to be uprooted. That belief is what's causing the results that they're getting in their life. It's not what you're thinking consciously, it is what you are believing subconsciously that is creating the reality. So you can go to the library and sit there all day and read all the books about the law of attraction. You can even become an expert on the law of attraction and become a coach about the law of attraction and talk about the law of attraction and teach the law of attraction and be broke
Yeah.
if you don't take care of the subconscious.
And so how do you do that? Like, and these things are blind spots, right?
Yes,
People don't
that's
see
right.
them. And so,
Yeah,
so how do you do
yeah,
that?
they
How
are.
do you go there?
Well, that is the $1 million question, is how do you find the blind spots in your own mind? And the number one way for me is you get a coach. You get somebody trained to help you see and hear your limiting beliefs, because usually you won't see or hear them. They are reality to you. You're living out of your limiting beliefs and you think this is the way the world is. It's not. It's your version of the world. It's your version of reality, and you're experiencing it through your limiting beliefs. So, somebody outside of your limiting beliefs, who's outside of your reality, can help you see your perceived reality. And that's why I started Miracles Coaching 20 years ago, to help people with this very issue. So the very first way to do it is with a miracles coach in my particular case, but some sort of coach to help shine a light on your invisible beliefs. The second thing, if you want to do the work, is you have to really be ruthlessly honest with yourself about what you are living and what you might be believing. One of my favorite questions, and it makes people stop and pause when they hear it, is I'll say, the meaning you give an event is the belief that created the event. I'll say it again. The meaning you give an event is the belief that created the event. So if I'm working with somebody, mentoring, coaching one-on-one, I would say, what's the meaning you're giving what's going on in your life? If somebody came to you or I and they said, oh, I'm struggling with my art business, or whatever business they happen to be in, or their relationship, they're looking for the soulmate and they can't seem to find one, I would say, what's that mean? What's it mean to you that you can't get this to work? And they're going to come up with something like, with the relationship, all the good ones are taken. That's a common phrase. All the good ones are taken. It's a limiting belief. It's not true. It's not a fact. It's something that people need to be looking at and questioning with ruthless honesty. With 8 billion people on the planet, is it even remotely possible that all the good ones are taken? So, by looking at what's the meaning you're giving an event, you can hear yourself say something that'll sound like fact to you. But when you explore it, especially with a coach, you find out, wait a minute, that's not true at all. It's a belief. And then the next question is, do you want to continue believing it or do you want to let it go? What would be better to believe? So as you can see, there's a whole process here to help people break free, but you have to go into the workshop of the mind, into the database, into where the software is programmed, and that is in the subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost, I guess, not impossible, but it's super hard to just watch content and read books and get to the point, right? So that's why we have other people, especially like coaches, that
Yeah.
know these beliefs, they can look at it and actually tell you, hey, this is a limiting belief. It's not true, right? And
Yeah.
actually changing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it on your own. It's just a very long process.
Hmm.
That was the problem with me. I was homeless for a long time. I was in poverty for 10 years. And I'm a guy who reads all the books. In fact, when I was homeless, I was in Dallas, Texas, living in the Dallas Public Library. I was reading the books. It was heaven because I'm reading all the books. It was hell because I had no food, no money, no car, no relationship, no place to go, no house, no apartment, no nothing. So I was reading those books and trying to apply them. And I did. You have to learn about applied wisdom. You have to learn how to apply this in your life. And most of the time it's a struggle and it's a lengthy process if you do it on your own. But you can do it.
Joe, the internet connection was a bit unstable. So you were in the library, you read these books, and you started
Yeah.
applying them. And
Yeah.
this is how you got out of it.
Yes, it was a long, slow climb out of the gutter, but I was reading all of these books, the success literature of the world, and I was doing my best to apply it to my life in a very clumsy, awkward, uneducated, inexperienced way. But
Mhm.
by doing that, I did crawl out and I did climb up. It just didn't happen overnight.
Okay, yeah. So for you, it was like not a specific moment that got you out of there. It was like you 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 were studying a lot these success principles and you were applying them over a long period of time. And finally, at one point, you finally got out of it. But it was just for you like a longer process because of that.
It was a long approach because there was no internet, there was no coaching, I had no mentor, I was entirely alone, I had no money. I was doing this by myself. And if you do it on your own, you can move forward, but you baby step forward if you do it on your own. And that's what was going forward with me. I was doing it by myself, took a longer time.
So the good news actually for everyone listening that in today's world, it should be 10 times, if not 100 times easier to get to that level of success.
Absolutely. Anybody alive today has a lucky break. There's all kind of information, there's all kind of tools, there's all kind of bells and whistles. The joke is there's an app for that. There's an app for, for just about anything you're going through, or a podcast for it, or a YouTube video for it, or a book for it, or a mentor for it. And you can find everything you need with a click of a button. It is incredibly easier and faster to have breakthroughs today. So it is good news and a good time for people to be alive. You can break free far easier than at any other time in history, even.
hmm That's so true. When I was, I think I was 18 or 19 back then, I think YouTube was very new and I was like very lost and frustrated. I didn't really know like what's the purpose of life? Why am I here? Because my past was pretty tough. And so what I did is like I
Mm.
typed into YouTube, what's the purpose of life? And then I saw like a whole documentary with like I don't remember who was in there, but it was the Matrix was there and some speakers were talking. And this just completely changed my perspective. And that's when my path started, right? First, also alone because I didn't have coaches, didn't really know how to work, didn't have the money to do that. But that set me off to that journey thanks to YouTube and the internet.
Yeah. There's numerous stories from everybody and his brother who has used YouTube and all the free literature out there. I've used YouTube when I was in an electric car and it wouldn't start. And I'm like, how do you restart an electric car when it's the battery?
Mhm.
Looked on YouTube on my iPhone, and there's somebody had posted a video. When I wanted to play saxophone, and I bought a baritone saxophone because I love the sound. I had the baritone saxophone. I'm like, what do I do now?
Mhm.
And I went on YouTube and it told me how to put the mouthpiece on, how to put it in, how to hold it, how to make the first notes. And I ended up recording an album of baritone saxophone music, all starting with a YouTube video. So we live in an age of magic and miracles because what we want to learn is at our fingertips, literally.
So we have all this knowledge, right? We can learn anything, but it still takes discipline. And especially like in the law of attraction world, many talk about the mind level, right? Thinking about what you want. And I believe everything is true, but there's something, yeah, missing for people. So they know the stuff, but somehow they do something for like 3 days or a week and then they stop. So like, what is different with you? Why do you, or where do you have this discipline from? Is maybe also a limiting belief that people have, because you want to do something and then you do it and you stick with it, and we see the results, the 90 books, the 15 albums.
Yeah.
So that's just
Mhm.
amazing. Like, where's this coming from?
Well, I have faith. I have faith at first that everything I was learning about the law of attraction, about self-improvement, about success, I had faith that these authors that were teaching me, the books that I was reading in the public library, had been there, done that, and they were conveying the knowledge to me. So I had faith in the beginning in them more than in me. As I applied what they were doing and I started to see results, and again, it was very slow, but I started to see results, then I started to get faith in me. As I kept using their principles, added my own principles, started to get that feedback that this is actually working. Here I'm getting published. Here I'm getting a job. Here I'm getting out of debt. Here I'm getting out of homelessness. Here I'm getting out of poverty. Here I'm getting into a relationship. You do that enough, and then your faith becomes superhuman. Your faith becomes almost supernatural when you get an idea, in my case, at the age of 60, 12 years ago or so, and I just decided I wanted to be a musician. I had no music experience, didn't sing in the shower, didn't know how to write a song, only knew a couple chords on a guitar. And here I am going, I want to be a musician. I want to record music. I want to record my first album. Because of a history of proving that this works, I had faith that I could do it.
Mm.
Now, I still had doubts, but I also knew you can doubt your doubts. I had learned that along the way. Doubt your doubts, and then you can move forward to proceed to create whatever it is you want. I tell people, I'll put it this way. I have a program, a little book called The 3 Day Rule.
Mhm.
And in the 3 Day Rule, I say what you're thinking and what you're feeling right now will generally get attracted to you in 3 days. Why
Mm.
doesn't that happen? Why doesn't it happen? Because most people change their thinking and change their feeling 50,000 times a day. So you may start out going, okay, what I want to do is focus on attracting money, or I want to focus on thinking rich. And immediately right after doing it for a minute, they start doubting for the rest of the day. Well, they're not going to attract the money or anything they said if they are doubting more time than they are believing. So all of it comes back to faith for me. And you prove faith to yourself by acting first in a fake it till you make it way. And then as you find it does work, you reinforce it and it makes it easier to keep growing and keep stretching and keep succeeding.
So it's almost like a success cycle, right? Or you build confidence with having small successes.
Yes. Well, you talked about me going into martial arts and mixed martial arts training at the age of 71. I've only had a handful of classes so far. And so I am a newbie. I don't have all the endurance. I don't have the breath work. I don't have the muscle. I don't have the skills. They will come in time. And I know that. Whenever you learn anything for the first time, whether it's the basics of the law of attraction, or you're learning karate, or you're learning music, or you're learning art, you're clumsy. You don't know what you're doing. And you don't even know what you don't know in the beginning. But I know that I don't know. I know that I'm being trained. I know that I will learn. And why do I know it? Because I've done it enough times in my life to prove that this is the way the cycle works.
I love that. Yeah, it's almost like people that don't know that don't have this experience, when they start something new, they start identifying with this role of being the student, and they feel stupid, they feel clumsy, and they start feeling really bad without knowing
Mhm.
that this is the process, and you can now go into this process and actually enjoy the journey, and you know that at one point you will be on a completely another level. I love that.
One day at a time. one day at a time, it's all fine. One day at a time, you keep growing. One day at a time, you keep learning. And you keep doing this one day at a time. And then one day, you turn around and go, oh, I'm a black belt in karate. Or, oh, I'm getting thousands of dollars for my painting. Or, oh, my business is open and blooming. Or in my case, I turn around and look and go, I wrote 90 books. I wrote 90 books.
That's crazy.
By the age of 71, I wrote 90 books. My first book was 1984. And if anybody had told me there'd even be a second book, I wouldn't have believed, let alone 90 more. In 1984, all I knew was, well, I got a book published, finally. What's next? You just keep writing, you just keep getting up, you just keep going to class, you just keep working one day at a time, you keep growing, you keep stretching, you keep learning, and then at some point you turn around and go, oh, look what I accomplished.
It's amazing. This is so cool because it's like when I started painting, I was also like I was so shy, and I painted in first of on paper, and it looked really
Mhm.
weird, right? I just did it for myself, and then I started, using a canvas, and then slowly I built myself up, and started making bigger canvases, started putting it out. But in the beginning, I was shaking. I was so nervous just painting. Today it's completely
Yeah.
normal, and I painted hundreds of paintings, and I think that's where the passion thing comes in. I was so passionate about it that I wasn't so focused on the outcome. I wasn't obsessed with, oh, I need to make money with
Beautiful.
it. I need to be successful, blah, blah, blah. I just did it step by step because I enjoyed the process. And on one point, I started making a living from it.
What a great illustration of what we're talking about here. I love that story. I want to point out to people that I am a speaker. I travel around the world. I go on stages. I'm in 30 some movies. I have my own movie coming out mid 2025 called Zero Limits. And so people will be able to watch that. And so they see me and maybe have heard me speak. They see me on stage and they just think, oh, he's an extrovert. Look how easy it is for him. Oliver, when I was growing up, I didn't talk to other people. I met somebody who had gone to high school with me. I met her 10 years ago. And so decades have passed since high school. And I said, what do you remember of me? And she thought for a long time and she said, I don't think you ever said a word. I never heard you say a word. I could not speak in public. I could not speak to more than two people. I was shy. I was insecure. I was immature. I was traumatized. I was terrorized. I could not do it. When my first book came out in 1984 that I mentioned, I had trouble selling it because I didn't know how to sell or market. And I kept reading that, oh, you have to speak. If you can get on stage and talk about the subject of your book and people like you, they might buy your book. I reluctantly, with great terror, started to speak first to five or six people in a room, and slowly over time to a little bit more. And I was doing it because of my passion. I loved what I was writing about. I wanted to be an author. I wanted to make money from my writing so I can do more writing. And so I faced my fears, stood on stage, and delivered my enthusiasm to people. As a result, I'm in all these movies. I was on Larry King when he had his show twice. I The largest crowd I ever spoke to was in Peru. It was 20,000 people.
Whoa.
I had a police escort. I had a bodyguard. I had a translator. I had a team with me, but I was by myself on stage. 20,000 people.
It's
When you
crazy.
follow your passion and you do the every day, do something more, do something better, just keep growing. Over time, you get to the point where, oh, you can do interviews like this, you can appear in movies, you can have your own movie, you can be on stages in front of Coliseum-sized crowds, and it just gets bigger and better. But you have to learn. None of it. I couldn't have stood in front of 20,000 people in 1984. I barely did it in front of two people in 1984. But I, over time, learned how to stretch and grow, build that inner conviction and faith and muscle, and then appear.
I love that. That's so powerful because it resonates with me so much because I was also like extremely shy, painfully shy. I couldn't talk to people like you. And I was like, on one point, I wanted to build a photography business. That was before I found art. And I
Mhm.
completely failed, went into that, also slept on the floor in an empty apartment because I couldn't talk to a single person. It was so painful. I was so afraid that I couldn't get there. right? So that's the thing. But then on one point, I started, focusing more on my passion and creating this vision. And with the art, it was then differently because my vision became so much stronger and so much more exciting than the fears and the doubts. So that then
Yes,
did,
yes.
I
That's it.
did the
That's it.
exactly. I did the things like I needed to, for example, jump with people on calls, and I'm like jumping with people on calls. I don't want to do that, but because the vision was so big, I did it, and that's when I started selling art. Right? It's incredible. It's like, yeah, I love that.
I think one of the secrets to success is let excitement lead the way.
Mm.
You were asking me about passion earlier and do what you love and all of that. Well, I think other ways of saying it is follow your heart, follow the juice, follow the electricity, follow the passion, follow the gusto, follow the enthusiasm. All of this is talking about an emotional fire that will melt the fears when you pursue it. Dale Carnegie, who helped a lot of people overcome the fear of speaking, and he wrote the famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The one book I think everybody on earth should read because I think it would just bring peace to the planet when people start reading that book and understanding that we're all concerned about ourselves. And when you get on stage and you speak about your love for something, and you do it with excitement, you do it with enthusiasm, you do it with passion, it's contagious. People
Mhm.
feel it. They respond to it. And if you are a photographer, you are an artist, or you are doing something and you're truly passionate about it, they'll feel it and they'll want more of it. It's
Mhm.
actually one of my secrets to success is that I get involved in something, whether it's movies, music, books, whatever. And I'm like a little kid, and I'm like saying, have you seen my latest book? Zero Limits Living. I talk about these three pillars, and I was hit by lightning, so to speak, and I was inspired. And I went and wrote the book. This story is coming from enthusiasm, and it's authentic. I'm not making any of this up. And this is what I'm encouraging people to do, following your own example, that following your passion melts away a lot of the insecurities when you just stand up there and deliver from your heart.
Exactly. I think
Powerful stuff.
yeah, people feel that energy. I had times as an artist when for example, I created a series of art that I was not so passionate about, but I kind of thought I should do it. It makes sense. And then I wasn't able to sell it. People didn't get excited about it. And I was like, I didn't
Wow.
understand why. But later I realized every time things were going really well, I created a series of art or talked about topics within my art that I was really passionate about. People just, it was contagious. They felt that energy, they somehow wanted to be
Yeah,
a part of it and they bought my art. So yeah, it's
beautiful.
powerful.
Well, in one of my books, a book called The Attractor Factor, that was the book that got me invited to be in the movie The Secret. I talk about how your energy goes into your product. So, in other words, the energy, your enthusiasm goes in your art, it goes in your photography. In my case, it goes in my books, or it goes in my music, or my movie coming out, it goes in my movie. And people aren't aware of that. But if you don't believe in your product, your service, what you're doing, people will shy away from it and not know why.
Mm.
They won't know that they're intuiting that you don't actually believe in the product. By the same token, if you're really excited about it and you're showing your enthusiasm, when they see your book or your painting or your photography or whatever you have, they'll look at it and they'll hold it and they won't know why they like it. They'll like it more than for the obvious reason of what it looks like. They're going to like it on an energy level. Your energy as a subtle force goes into what you're creating, which is another reason why do what you love, do what excites you, do what makes you electrified with love.
You need to believe in the product. Let's say it's art for artists listening here. They create an art piece, they're passionate about it, and they want to charge like higher prices. They want to, but like I talk to a lot of artists, some of them they sell their art for so little money. It's not even really, they put in so much love, so much time and work into
Yeah.
that, and then they charge a few $100 and they want to charge a few thousands. But I always tell them they have to believe in the price too, right? Otherwise, people will feel this
Yes.
disconnect.
Yes. Well, this goes back to some of the what we started talking about with beliefs around money.
Mhm.
So if people feel like this is triggering their sense of stealing or misrepresenting or being greedy or falling into the money is evil kind of trap, they're not going to be able to keep a straight face and ask for more money for something. I have a lot of guitars, and there's one guitar that cost $35,000. Now you
Wow.
can buy a guitar for $100, and any handmade guitar is around $5,000 US. This guitar was over $30,000. And I kept marveling that the person who made the guitar was able to charge so much. And as I looked at her guitars, they're made by her and they are different and they are special. But at the same time, is it really worth 35,000? Because she believes it is, and she believes that money is good, and she believes she is worth it. She not only asked for the 35,000, she gets it.
Mm.
And she got it from me. People respond to your energy. And if they sense you don't believe in your own painting and you want to charge $5,000 for it, but you think it's a $500 painting, people aren't going to go and make the jump to the 5,000. They're going to feel your own low energy around the price. So
Hmm.
you have to, this goes back to the inner work we've been talking about. You have to do the inner work so that you believe money's good, and money is good. You can use money to make a difference in the world, and you can use money to destroy the world. It's your choice. Money by itself is neutral. It doesn't do anything. So when you believe money is good because you're going to use it for good, you take away a lot of the beliefs about it being negative in some way. Because you know when it comes to you, you'll use it for good reasons. Take care of yourself, your family, your friends, causes you believe in. That'll make it easier to ask for more money for what you believe in. So you have to know money's good. You have to know you're good. You have to know you're worth it. You have to know that your art or whatever you're creating is worth it. And then you can align your price tag to reflect the higher price. Because the only thing that's preventing the lower or going higher is your own beliefs about doing so.
Hmm. Absolutely. And with all of this, I also notice what another big belief when it comes to charging higher prices, and I hear it again and again, which is like, where are the people? You know, where do I find the people with money? But what do you think? It's just another belief, right?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because you know those 8 billion people that I said were on the planet? There's 8 billion people of them. A whole lot of them are billionaires. A whole lot of them are multimillionaires. A whole lot of them are millionaires. And even with the ones that might be less than a millionaire, they're spending money. They're spending money. It doesn't take too much research to find people that have made millions of dollars from a piece of art that had a banana taped to it.
Yeah.
There was one fairly recently, and I thought it was a joke, and it turns out, nope, some artist put a canvas up, got a banana, taped it to the canvas, and maybe they signed it or did something else with it. Somebody bought it for an outrageous amount of money.
Yes.
There are people spending money. There are lots of people spending money, and there are trillions of dollars in circulation right now. So when we say that it won't happen or the money's not there or the people not there, it's a limiting belief. It's not true at all. With a little examination, with a little research, we can find out there's lots of people, lots of money buying lots of art or other stuff.
Exactly. I love this is so powerful because this will help so many artists because it's yeah, it's just the wrong question, right? It's like the question is not like where are the people with money? The question is like who resonates with my art? Because these people are everywhere, right? But the question is like who
Yes.
does really resonate with my art? Who loves my art, what I'm creating?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I don't know if you ever heard of Jerry and Esther Hicks, who channel the being called Abraham. They've
Hmm.
been around since the 1980s. They were early clients of mine in the 1990s, and I've always loved Abraham, always loved Jerry and Esther. Jerry has since passed on. But because I worked with them directly, I got to see them build their empire. And they've got this empire of the staggering amount of product. Every word Abraham speaks is recorded. They transcribe it. So they're selling the CDs, they're selling the books, they're selling newsletters. Goes on and on and on. And I would ask Jerry and Esther about their mission. And they said, all we want to do is get our message into the hands of the people who want to hear it. And I love the simplicity of it. He didn't come out and say, There's 8 billion people on the planet. I want all 8 billion people to be my customer. There was nothing like that. It was more like our message is kind of select. Our message is kind of weird. Our message is kind of counterintuitive or counterculture. So all we want are the people who would welcome hearing the message. Well, as a result, they found a staggering amount of people who are now regular customers of the Abraham message. And the whole point of the story is what you're pointing out is it's not a matter of needing to seek, it's more a matter of needing to radiate. And then after you've radiated, you can receive. And this is a different way of thinking about marketing. And believe me, I'm a marketer. I've been doing marketing since the 1990s. I love marketing, but there's an internal marketing that needs to be done first. And this is being in alignment with who you are, what your message is, the rightness of it, and then sending the signal out from within you to attract the people who would resonate with it. You don't want everybody to be your customer. I know you think, not you personally, but I know everybody thinks, oh, if I only had planet Earth or I only had this city as my customer. You don't want that. You only want the people who will love your work, who resonate with your work. And those people have money and keep you in luxury and keep you provided for so you can create more of what you love over time.
Beautifully said. It's so true. You want to have your ideal customers, the people that your art or your message is meant for, right? And then
Yes.
putting that out. And another thing that I wanted to say is like what I find interesting is that, so first of all, you did a lot of things that, or like the things that you're doing, you're very passionate about. So there's already this energy behind it. There's already this good, beautiful energy behind what you're doing and everything you've created that people feel. And I guess the next part is also, you said you love marketing. I know a lot of artists, they don't like that. They don't want to be salesy. They don't like marketing. But I think loving marketing, that part of the game, is
Yeah.
working to your benefit.
Yeah, but let me reframe marketing for people because I've heard that complaint before. I've heard it from lots of people who say, oh, I don't like marketing, or I think marketing is slimy, or I don't like selling. And I thought about it for a long time. And I thought, oh, I don't really like marketing. I like sharing. And that's what I call it. It's sharing. It's not selling and it's not marketing. It's sharing. Well, what am I sharing? I'm sharing my love for whatever the product or service happens to be. In my case, a book or an album or a product or a movie. I'm sharing it with the audience that I'm hoping will connect with it and will love hearing about it. That's marketing. Now, when I've told this story before, I remember this is many decades ago. Usually, when I would get a massage during that time, the massage therapist never spoke. She knew I wanted silence, and so she just worked on me and was quiet. But one day I went in and she would not shut up. She was talking a mile a minute about a movie she had just seen. And this was the movie that came out before The Secret. It was called What the Bleep Do We Know?
Yeah.
And she just raved about that movie. She kept talking about the movie and how it influenced her and inspired her and all the nooks and crannies and little tidbits that are in the movie. And at the end of the massage, I just kept thinking, I got to go see the movie. She was selling, but she would never call it selling. She was marketing, but she never would have called it marketing. She was simply sharing her enthusiasm for what she just experienced. I got ignited by her enthusiasm and went and watched the movie. This is the kind of marketing, I'm going to put marketing in quotes here. This is the kind of marketing I'm talking about. Forget the manipulating people, persuading people, writing things in certain ways to kind of covertly persuade them to part with their money. Forget all of that. I'm talking about sharing your product or service with the people who will welcome hearing about it. You share your love, and when you have a match, they love hearing about it. That's the kind of marketing I'm talking about.
That's so powerful. And it actually reminds me, like, I needed to do sales calls to sell my art. I didn't like that. It felt weird, like going on a sales call, right? So I reframed it to a connection call because that felt so much better for me. And the calls were better because that's literally what I did. So I guess reframing is actually a powerful tool, right? If something like marketing, sales sounds bad for you, and it triggers negative feelings, that
Yeah.
you can actually reframe that.
You actually can, and that's a good reminder here. We are in charge of our experience. Most of us don't know it, but if we pause long enough to go, the way you're talking about your experience, the way you're looking about your experiences is making it a good or bad feeling for you. However, you can talk about it, you can describe it, you can share it in a different way, and you'll have a better experience. You are in charge of how you describe what you're doing or about to do. It does not have to be painful. It could be growth oriented. It does not have to be a cold call. It could be a connection call. It doesn't have to be any of the old terms we had. Stop long enough to be creative, especially if you're a creative person. Well, let's apply the creativity to your labels and find a different way to talk about what you're about to do and make it more empowering.
Hmm. So powerful. I love it. Thank you, Joe. Like, I have a last question, maybe two, if we can, but I want to be
Sure.
respectful of your time. One
Thank
question is for all the people, because I know there's still so many people that are struggling, especially like financially. This is such a huge thing for so many things, so for so many people. So, what would you recommend someone that right now is struggling financially and somehow things aren't going their way? It's like, and they know this stuff. They're watching videos, but still they're still struggling. What would you recommend them to do right now to change that?
Well, there's two or three things that come to mind. The very first is I would go get my book. It's free. Attract Money Now. Go to attractmoneynow.com. Attractmoneynow.com. It's a PDF. It has 7 ways to attract more money. And this has come from my hard-earned street smart experience. And again, it's free. I can't read the book for you. I can't do the exercises for you, but go to attractmoneynow.com, download the book, read the book, do the exercises, and start experiencing change right then and there. The second thing is you have to take the struggle and the desperation off of your situation. However, you can do it. Some of it can be a mindset. You can just look at your situation differently and you realize it's temporary. All things pass. The sun will rise again. The rain always stops. The storms always clear up. You can take the desperation off. And if you're really starving in the United States, I don't know about all over the world, but there's phone numbers, there's places, there's hostels, there's clinics, there's all kind of people that are willing to help. If you don't have food, you don't have a place to stay, they will take care of you. They will help you. I once heard the phrase that it's almost impossible to starve in the United States because there's so many organizations and people and services who want to help you. But I don't know about the rest of the world. And then the third thing is you have to have a vision where you want to go and you have to take action towards it. So I would do all three of these things. And the first, attractmoneynow.com, can get them going in the right direction immediately.
Perfect. I also will link it down below if you watch this on YouTube, so you can click on it and check it out. So yeah, thank you, Joe. It's such a powerful and beautiful interview. Now, the last question, if you have something for the viewers, if you want to leave people with something, and yes, like your last words that you think is important to wrap this interview up.
I think the most important thing to remember is that whatever you're going through is temporary. It doesn't feel like it because if you've been struggling for a while, it might feel like you're always going to struggle, but you won't. Everything is temporary. All will pass. Sun always rises again. Rain always stops. If you can maintain the attitude that one day at a time, it's all fine, then you can get through virtually anything. So one day at a time, it's all fine. And what I like to leave people is with a different way of looking at the world. Instead of expecting the same old, or expecting crap to happen, I always say, expect miracles. That's how I will end this. Expect miracles.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I loved it. Thank you. Godspeed to you and all your listeners.